Let's go Eagles! Despite having said goodbye to the season early, the Eagles are secretly plotting a brilliant plan. I confess, I'm still not sure if I agree with what they might do, but I need to trust Howie. I'll tell you all the details now, but first, make sure you've already hit the like button if you recognize that Howie Roseman has been an incredible GM for the Eagles. If possible, comment like this: Go Eagles! We trust Howie. A.J. Brown requesting a trade during the season wasn't just a one-time emotional outburst. It reportedly happened multiple times, with the first coming right after a win in Week 3 against the Rams, where Brown had over 100 yards. If that's not telling, what is? We're talking about a player who's been one of the most productive receivers in franchise history, yet somehow remains unhappy even during periods of team success and personal production. And now, with more and more smoke rising, you've got to wonder, is a firestorm of change coming? Because if it is, the proposed blockbuster swap with the Las Vegas Raiders, A.J. Brown for Maxx Crosby, could be more than just a spicy rumor. It might actually be the best solution for both parties. Let's be clear. Trading away a player of A.J. Brown's caliber isn't something you do without serious internal conflict. He's a three-time All-Pro with 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons in Philly. When he's locked in, he's one of the most dominant and physically imposing receivers in the NFL. But the key word here is when. Because this past season, he didn't look locked in at all. His effort seemed inconsistent. His body language was off. And his frustration with the offense, quarterback Jalen Hurts, and coaching staff was obvious, both on and off the field. There were dropped passes that were uncharacteristic, sideline blow-ups, cryptic tweets, missed media sessions, all signs pointing toward a relationship that, at best, is strained, at worst, broken beyond repair. And that's the central issue Howie Roseman has to wrestle with. He said it himself. The Eagles are in the business of collecting elite talent, and A.J. Brown is elite. But he also said the same thing about Carson Wentz before shipping him off. And we all know how that played out. So if A.J. doesn't want to be here, and if the Eagles believe the vibes are off, it's not just about who you're losing, it's about who you're getting back. That's where Maxx Crosby comes in. Let's flip the coin. Crosby is everything the Eagles love in a defensive lineman. He's relentless, disruptive, versatile, and flat-out nasty, and he wants out of Vegas. The Raiders shut him down late in the year due to a knee injury, even though he wanted to play. That decision fractured his relationship with the franchise. Since then, he's dropped subtle and not so subtle hints on social media that he may want a fresh start elsewhere. And we know how much Philly fans respect players who leave everything on the field. Maxx Crosby would be worshipped here. His playing style, his grit, his engine, it screams Eagles football. The Eagles' defensive line, while still talented, needs a jolt. Hassan Reddick may be on his way out. Josh Sweat faded hard down the stretch. Nolan Smith hasn't developed yet. Brandon Graham is on his last legs. Meanwhile, Crosby would come in as an anchor on the edge, giving you consistent pass rush presence for years to come. In 2023, he had 14.5 sacks, 23 tackles for loss, and played through multiple injuries. That's not just Pro Bowl stuff, that's all-pro work ethic and production. He's got the resume, the reputation, and the toughness to instantly become a fan favorite and team leader in Philadelphia. From a schematic perspective, this trade makes a ton of sense. The Eagles would gain a cornerstone piece on the defensive side of the ball at a position they heavily prioritize, while eliminating a headache from the offensive side. Meanwhile, the Raiders would finally give their soon-to-be rookie quarterback a legitimate WR1, adding A.J. to an offensive core that already features Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty. The timeline fits perfectly. Let's talk money. Crosby and A.J. Brown have similar contracts, both making north of $30 million annually. But for the Eagles, moving A.J. pre-June Verne would result in a massive $43.5 million dead cap hit. Post-June 1, that number drops significantly and makes the trade financially viable. This is the same method Philly used in the past when moving on from big-name players, and it's all part of Howie's well-known cap gymnastics. On the Raiders' end, it's a relatively painless $5.1 million dead cap charge. That's pocket change when you're talking about acquiring one of the top 5 receivers in the league. And let's face it, their WR room is barren. No Davante Adams, no Jacoby Myers. They desperately need a playmaker to jumpstart the new era with Fernando Mendoza, their presumed future franchise QB. Now, what about those saying the Raiders should get more in return than just A.J. Brown? That Philly should have to throw in a pick? Let's shut that down right now. A.J. Brown is still one of the most productive, explosive, and dangerous wideouts in football. He had 78 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and 7 touchdowns in what many called a down year. With a better offensive coordinator and more consistent scheme, he likely pushes those numbers even higher. You're not throwing in draft capital when you're already giving up a proven, prime All-Pro. And let's not pretend Crosby is without concerns. He's approaching 30, dealt with injuries, and plays a physically demanding position that rarely ages gracefully. There's risk on both sides, and that's what makes this potential deal so fascinating. This wouldn't be a salary dump. It wouldn't be a rebuild. It would be a football trade, a legitimate swap of elite talent that helps both sides. The Eagles would become younger and faster on defense while removing a major distraction from their locker room. The Raiders would acquire a true WR1 to support their young QB and kickstart a new offensive identity. But beyond the X's and O's, the dollars and cents, and even the stats, this deal would send a message. The Eagles aren't going to tolerate chaos and discontent, even from their best players. And it would show that Howie Roseman, once again, is willing to make the kind of bold move that keeps the team competitive, flexible, and hungry. The real question is, what do the fans think? Would you be on board with trading A.J. Brown for Maxx Crosby? Does it make the Eagles better? Or would this be a step backward for the offense? Let me know in the comments. T for trade, P for pass. What's your take on this blockbuster idea? Let's not forget the emotional and cultural side of this potential move. A.J. Brown came to Philadelphia and instantly became a fan favorite, from his physical style of play to his clutch performances and connection with Jalen Hurts. But what's been clear over the past year is that connection. It's frayed. On the field, we didn't see the same trust between Hurts and Brown that we saw in 2022. There were miscommunications, missed opportunities, and a noticeable shift in body language from both sides. If the locker room is fractured, if trust is broken, keeping a star player just for the sake of star power could end up doing more harm than good. And that's why this hypothetical deal isn't just about numbers or names, it's about culture. Maxx Crosby represents everything Philly prides itself on: grit, toughness, and relentless effort. He plays every snap like it could be his last. The guy is a maniac on the field, and this fan base would love him for it. He's the kind of player that brings energy into the locker room, not tension. And right now, the Eagles need more of the former and a lot less of the latter. Ultimately, it comes down to this. The Eagles have 2 paths. They can try to fix a broken relationship with A.J. Brown, hope that a new offensive coordinator can smooth things over, and hope Brown buys back in emotionally. Or they can flip him for a player who fills a glaring need, brings no drama, and embodies the identity of this city. It's a high-stakes decision, and whatever Howie decides, it's going to shape the future of this franchise. So now that you've heard the full breakdown, I want to know, what do you think, Eagles fans? Would you make this trade? Would it solve more problems than it creates? Or would you hold on to A.J. Brown and try to fix what's been broken? Drop your thoughts below. Is it time for Philly to move on from A.J. Brown?